Joining us for this news conference today. In a few moments, our Lincoln Police Chief, Teresa Ewens, will review the statistics and trends related to crime in our community for the 2021 calendar year. And I'm pleased to announce that Lincoln continues to maintain a low crime rate, and we have seen significant decreases in violent crime in our community over the past year, which is good news for our city and all the people who call Lincoln home. Our administration believes that city government at its best helps people coexist and reach their full human potential. And our leadership team works day in and day out to lead Lincoln towards a more successful, secure, and shared future. Public safety is our #1 priority, and maintenance of this capital city's low crime rate contributes to our ability to build a vibrant quality of life for all Lincoln residents. Finally, I want to acknowledge the hard work and dedication of the team members at the Lincoln Police Department. Officers, civilian staff, and our LPD leadership team work in partnership with our residents and community organizations to create a safe and vibrant Lincoln for all who live here. I'm proud to work alongside them and highlight the results of their efforts today. And with that, I'd like to welcome Chief Teresa Ewens to the podium to review the 2021 annual report with you.
Thank you, Mayor. 2021 was a year defined not only by challenges, but also resilience. The future of our community and police department depends on maintaining and improving the collaborative relationship between the public and the police. LPD is committed to policing in partnership with the public. Now, I'll be going through all the slides in regards to the major crimes and some other information that a lot of people always talk about or ask about. And so we're going to start with the Part 1 crime. And I want to remind people that Part 1 crime are crimes such as murder, aggravated assault, rape, robbery, auto theft, larceny, burglary, and arson. Now, you'll see decreases in a majority of these categories. The one thing that police departments and governments always look at is the decreases in violent crime. And as you see, we have a 6.2% drop from 2020 to 2021 for Part 1 crime. And on the 5-year average, which you see, which is important to look at because COVID years really don't show the entire picture, so we try to do a larger time period. It was a reduction of 3.3%. Violent crime, we had a reduction of between last year and this year is 15%, which is significant. You normally look at a 5 to 10% average each year. If you're doing everything that you need to do and decrease crime, that's what you try to go for, but 15% is a very good number, and it is truly the work of the men and women of the Lincoln Police Department and the community in partnership. Now, the combination of Part 1 crime and violent crime per 100,000 is always something we need to look at. Now, when you look at the numbers here, you really do see what the true numbers are for the time period 2016 to 2021. And you see a downturn from last year. It is 446. I have to put my glasses on, please excuse me. 446 to 2021 being 371, which is a significant decrease. Now, the next slide is an average in comparison to other cities. And we do very well compared to other cities that are about our size, if not a little bit larger and smaller. We're definitely a city that is reducing crime and creating positive environments for our community. And so it's really great for when we look to our future. Now, the one thing that's been in the news a lot is auto thefts. The two things that are not trending down, auto thefts as well as the larceny from autos when people break into people's vehicles. We're doing as much as we can to reduce this. It's a crime of opportunity in which it's very difficult to stop. It is a national issue across the board. from the East Coast to the West Coast, and we are no different from the national trend. And so when you look at the differences between 2020 and 2021, is an increase of 82% in regards to auto thefts. Obviously, this is not a comfortable number for us, and I hope this year they'll be able to reduce that by 10% in the coming year. Now, the areas in which we're talking about thefts are happening is mainly in the densest population area of Lincoln, and that's mainly the downtown area. And so we're going to be doing a lot of outreach and a lot of conversations, trying to be proactive in our approach to reduce these numbers moving forward. We've had a lot of meetings in regards to this, and we're going to continue trying to reduce that number. Now, the increase for 2021 in regards to theft from vehicle, it's called larceny from auto, is increased 17%. Again, and that's the national average. Between last year and this year, though, we've actually reduced that number 7.83. I do want to pay attention to the fact that it is an increase through the last 5-year average, and so that's a very important number for us because we still need to reduce that number as much as possible. Now for the next slide, we're looking at catalytic converters. It's been in the news a lot. We had our ordinance put into place October 1st of last year. We saw a decrease at that point. But overall, I mean, when we talk about decreases for that theft, it's a big number in which we increased 257% in 2021. So it did make an impact at the end of the year, and we're going to again do some proactive enforcement in this year. Sexual assault reports, we have decreased sexual assault reports from 2020 to 2021 by 15%. And then on to mental health, you see that the numbers are very large numbers, and so we're hoping to continue to trend down as our partnership builds with the health department and other advocates, that these numbers for us as an agency is reduced. And it is one of those partnerships that we don't want to not be part of because it is about public safety, but we have to pay attention to, what is a police function and our partnership in the larger scheme of approaching these calls for service. Stolen firearms. This is not necessarily what I wanted to see for 2021. An increase in stolen firearms. As you will see, stolen firearms from an auto, 47, from burglaries themselves, 47, and a total of 135 for last year. We were going to try to do a lot of public education. Some of those firearms are not secured, not the way that they probably should be. The idea is really to be responsible, so these firearms are not used on the public. It's one thing for it to be stolen, but you have to understand the larger issue is that these firearms may be used to assault someone or even kill someone. So we need to keep that in mind. Burglaries are, when we piece it apart between residential and commercial burglaries, both decreased. Again, the 5-year average, 24% decrease. I do believe that is because of outreach and the community working together to create safe neighborhoods. The idea is that we're going to continue doing that work. We really need to focus a lot on the commercial businesses because you do see some burglaries are happening downtown, and we really need to get more help from the public in regards to identifying individuals that we have on video, because video is out there. And so we ask the public for the video so we can solve these crimes, but also identify people. So the next slide, missing persons. Missing persons is a large number. Many of them are runaways, juveniles. During COVID, we had less. We had a decrease because of COVID. Missing persons is something that we need to pay attention to as a community. Why are kids or individuals missing? we need to address those. Some have to do with mental health, some have to do with the circumstances in their home. And so those are, again, something that we as a community need to address. But the large scale between 2020 and 2021 is something we need to continue to pay attention to. Now, when you look at our communication center data, these numbers are large, comparatively speaking, to other cities. And this is a combination of both police and fire. So our communication center members are working very hard, taking in 472,774 calls for service. That means they're working very hard. It is a number that I'd like to see reduced and really have those other calls that are not necessarily police or fire function go into a different direction. If we as law enforcement need to have a call center for taking simple reports like a lost wallet or something like that, then we want to lighten that load because it is a lot for them to handle for emergency and non-emergency calls for service. I felt it important to talk about our diversity in our police department. These are the numbers that we have currently. We have 348 officers. We have a total of 486 members of professional as well as sworn members. We want to see more diversity in our department. It needs to reflect our communities. And so we're going to do a big push for a lot more diverse members to come into the academy, and we're doing that right now. I think the thing that the community doesn't realize is that the LAPD has done, did I say LAPD? LPD, I'm back in California. LPD has done a lot of work to shorten that time frame in which somebody gets into the academy. And so these applications are being taken year-round as opposed to just a finite time. And so it's very important that we did that. And so we're getting more people coming in and applying and showing their interests. And so we will be going out into the community and doing more in regards to that. Recruitment and hiring, again, this shows the success of the new approach. We have 200 applicants. We have over 400 applicants in 2021. We have 296 for 2020. Obviously, when you see the blue and the orange, that means the 35, the orange part, are applicants that were hired. It's one of those issues of not being able to take people because of different reasons, whether it be in the background or something in their drug testing it's very complicated, but it really does. We have to have a lot of applicants in order to get to a number that we can hire. The trends in quality assurance audits, I think, is not as known to many people in this community. It is a telephone survey of individuals that had police contact, and that is either by being a reportee of a crime, being pulled over in a traffic stop. It is important that people understand in 2020 they did 2,800 surveys. And these surveys are done by our interns and volunteers, and which is important because they don't necessarily have the contacts that we do, and it's kind of a new ear that is listening to what people have to say. And so as you can see, the trend is outstanding and above average, and as far as feeling safe, usually always safe. These are the questions that are important because safety is also about a feeling, and if people feel that they are safe, it is a combination between what we are doing as a department and what the community and our involvement with them are. I'm happy to take any questions that you might have right now. I know that's a lot of information to take in at one time. But
kind of easy one. For the auto thefts, do you know if it goes up in the winter when someone might be warming their car, or is it kind of just across the board all year?
I was hoping someone was going to ask that question because this is also about outreach. If you are warming your car up in your driveway, that is when people are taking cars, to be honest with you. And it's not we could break it down into timeframes, but right now we're seeing that's the trend, is that if you're warming your car up, there are opportunists driving around and trying to find these cars. Cars are not easy to get today, and people need to understand that that's a very valuable item to them. So they need to keep an eye out.
You mentioned taking a proactive approach to policing catalytic converter thefts this year. I mean, what do you mean by that when you say I know you guys passed the ordinance that kind of allows you to ticket people if they have a loose converter, but I guess what else are you going to do to try and curb that?
Well, in the most the obvious areas in which people are stealing catalytic converters, it really is about having the video. It is about being proactive in talking and checking on the people that are purchasing the catalytic converters illegally. You know, that's a big focus for us. But being proactive is really having my officers going out and focusing specifically on that. Because there are time frames. People are not just lifting cars in broad daylight majority of the time. It's usually a time frame in which they're out there stealing these items.
Do you feel like that new ordinance has helped? I mean, you said it kind of went down in October, but still, I guess, over the higher, like if you're just looking at that graph, like it's kind of higher still than the rest of the year in the later months. Is the ordinance helping? Is there need to be more done, or?
We're going to do more. And yes, I mean, these numbers are not okay. I mean, across the country, they're trying to think of new ways of securing the catalytic converter under a car. It'd be great if the automotive people could come up with a solution, because this is instant money. This is a lot of money that people are getting for these catalytic converters. I think the number is about $1 million that we alone have lost in Lincoln. Let me go back to that. It does help when we have more cameras in the area, which brings on, other conversations about privacy, but it is about our ability to find people and then prosecute them, because if they don't have fear of prosecution, a lot of times they're not afraid to go anywhere that they want. So we average damage and loss to Lincoln citizens is in excess of $1 million. And that's how bad it is right now. And at some point, from my experience, people also start not calling the police because of these crimes. Because it is in the news all the time, and they're like, why should I call the police? It's always happening. So it's very important that people call and tell us that they're victims.
Chief, was that a $1 million loss from what time frame?
For last year.
Last year.
And then on to recruitment and retaining officers.
Yes.
I know there's 5 different legislative bills today in the judiciary hearing that deal with. One of them is recruiting and one of them is retaining, and there's a few other ones that would help law enforcement. Could that help LPD with hiring and retaining?
Yes. I mean, it is a competitive field right now. We're all trying to get the same recruits. And so anything will help us at this point. Really, the people that are in our department right now, I mean, they are our best recruiters. They dedicate themselves in the hard work that they do every single day. I see it every single day. I've been here for almost 6 months now, and I'm very impressed. And so when people look for that department that they want to be in, they should definitely look at Lincoln. And yes, those will help.
One slide said there was 2,327 missing people reported in Lincoln last year. Do you know how many of those people were later found?
Yes. If I had better eyes, I could actually read the screen, so it's a bit, I do apologize for having to bounce around a little bit. You know what, I don't have that number with me, but I'll get back to you with that number. It is a significant amount, though. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, guys.